Chosen one, have you ever felt the weight of something invisible pressing on your soul, like the air itself was warning you of a shift too deep for words? Lately, there's been a strange heaviness in the silence. It's not fear, it's something older, something holy. You've looked around at the world and sensed it, that this isn't just political chaos or another bad news cycle. This feels ancient, like the earth is holding its breath, and you feel it in your body, in your dreams, in the quiet moments when no one is watching. The tension, the ache, the awareness that something is coming, not from fear, but from deep soul memory. Let me ask you something you've never said out loud. Have you ever felt like the sun might disappear? Like the sky might go black, not from science, but from something spiritual? And if you have, you're not alone. This isn't just a theory or a trending topic. This is an ancient knowing that's being awakened in millions of hearts. The prophecy of the 3 days of darkness is not a scare tactic. It's a message for the ones who are listening beyond the noise, the ones who were born sensitive to the sacred, the ones who carry codes of remembrance, the ones who knew something was off long before the headlines caught up. You didn't find this video. It found you, in your searching, in your exhaustion, in that quiet prayer you whispered when no one else was awake. This moment is not accidental, it's alignment. And if you're still watching, it means you were meant to. I won't give you doom. I won't give you dogma. I will give you something much rarer: clarity, comfort, and confirmation of what your soul already knows. There are moments in life when the divine gives us a choice to distract ourselves again, or to awaken, to scroll past the signs, or to finally stop and look them in the eye. This is one of those moments. And I'll ask you something serious. You have a choice right now. You can click away, go back to the noise, the scrolling, the endless search for something to ease the ache. Or you can stay. Stay until the end. Stay and receive the words that were meant to meet your soul right here, right now. Stay and walk away lighter, stronger, remembering. If anything in your body feels like it's stirring right now, if you feel the chills or the pressure or the tears building just behind your eyes, comment 333 or 777. That's not for me. That's for you. To mark this sacred moment. To signal that something inside you just woke up again. Because it's not just about what's coming in the sky. It's about what's being revealed in you. This message is a portal, not a prediction, a mirror, not a map. You were never meant to live in fear. You were meant to live prepared, awakened, rooted in your divine knowing. And the truth is, the darkness that's been prophesied has already begun in many ways, not in the heavens, but in the hearts. A spiritual eclipse, a collective pause, a worldwide hush before something sacred returns. You were born for this time. You were born with a light that doesn't depend on the sun. You were born with a memory of what it means to hold the torch when the world goes dim. What's coming next is not the end. It's the unveiling. And the only ones who will see clearly are the ones who already feel it in their bones. So breathe, chosen one. Take this moment seriously. But don't take it fearfully. You've been prepared in silence, trained through pain, refined through waiting, and now you will remember. Stay with me now. What comes next will remind you why you were chosen. There are moments when the world grows quiet, not because peace has arrived, but because something is approaching, something sacred, something that can't be explained by the weather or politics or human logic. Chosen one, you've felt it, that strange silence, that inner stillness that almost feels unnatural. the kind of quiet that comes right before a divine announcement. You don't need the news to tell you. Your soul already knows. You've been sensing the shift for a while now. And it's not just emotional, it's energetic, spiritual, cosmic. The 3 days of darkness prophecy has circulated in whispers for generations. Some hear it and tremble in fear. But for those like you, the ones who feel beyond the veil, it doesn't feel like a threat. It feels like a remembering. Like an old story your bones already know. This isn't about superstition. It's about spiritual preparation. The universe doesn't scream, it whispers. And lately, the whispers have grown louder through strange dreams, sudden fatigue, restlessness with the ordinary, a desire to unplug, to go inward, to prepare without knowing exactly what for. Let me show you something. The darkness that's coming isn't just an external event. It's an internal invitation. It's a return to sacred pause, a divine reset. It's what happens when the collective soul is asked to stop, to see, to feel, to remember. You see, chosen one, you are not being warned, you are being summoned. And the signs are not new. They've been with you since the beginning. The dreams that made no sense until now. The silence that suddenly felt alive. The intuition that told you to stock up, to pray, to detach. Most people won't understand what you're feeling. They'll say you're overreacting, that it's all nonsense, but you were not built like them. You are wired to sense what others deny, to walk by knowing, not by sight. You may not be able to explain it, but that pull in your gut, that ache in your chest, that's not anxiety. That's activation. You are being readied. Take a breath. Remember the times you felt this before a major life shift, before a loss, before a revelation. This feeling is not new. It's familiar. It's divine intelligence moving through your nervous system. Your soul is preparing you. You're not crazy, you're aligned, and that changes everything. The truth is, we've already entered a kind of spiritual twilight, a fog, a suspended moment in time where everything feels slightly off, but no one can name why. It's the divine disorienting us on purpose, so we will stop relying on old maps, so we'll stop pretending we're in control. The darkness that may fall will not just be upon the earth. It will be a cleansing of illusion, a disruption of what was never built in truth. And while many will panic, the chosen ones will remember. Because you've been here before. Not in this exact form, but in other lifetimes, other dimensions of your soul. You've held light in the dark before. You've walked others through silence before. And now, you're being asked to do it again, not with fear, but with faith. Not with panic, but with preparation. Not with judgment, but with quiet readiness. You don't need to know the exact date. That's not the point. The point is to wake up, to unplug from the noise, to simplify, to return to the sacred, to be with yourself, with God, with the light that does not flicker even when the sun disappears. Because the ones who have practiced stillness now will not be shaken then. And when the sky grows dark, whether metaphorically or literally, you won't feel lost. You'll feel found. You'll remember that the silence isn't a void, it's a voice, and in that voice you'll hear your purpose. This is not a warning, it's a homecoming. Go back for a moment, not to dwell, but to rediscover. Think about your childhood, not the parts shaped by others' expectations, but the moments you still can't explain. The way you felt things no one else seemed to notice. How you would sit in silence and feel the energy of a room before a word was spoken. How storms excited you, not for the thunder, but for the way the sky felt alive. You saw things in dreams that happened later. You spoke to the wind like it could hear you. And even when you were told it was just your imagination, something inside you knew better. Chosen one, you didn't become sensitive. You were born this way. You carried something ancient, something that didn't fit into the boxes this world built for children. You didn't just grow up, you survived misunderstanding. You were called too shy, too quiet, too dramatic, too emotional, too different. But really, you were tuned to a deeper frequency. You were catching signals others weren't aware of. And while other children played in the daylight, you were already dancing with shadows, listening for the deeper truths beneath the surface. That's why the loneliness started early, because you were never truly mirrored. You were rarely met with the kind of presence you gave so freely. And over time, you started to dim your light, to speak less, to shrink, to try to be normal. But something in you refused to die, even in the silence, even in the rejection, even in the moments when you wondered if maybe you were just broken, that something kept burning. And now, as the world begins to tremble with prophecy and awakening and chaos, that inner fire is rising again. It's no longer something you can ignore. You see, the child in you was not confused. They were connected. And while the world tried to train you out of your nature, the divine was preserving something inside you, protecting the vision, preserving the sensitivity, because you would need it later. You would need to remember how it felt to be wildly intuitive, to sense the invisible, to trust the voice within. Let me ask you this. How many times have you known something without proof? Felt an urgency that couldn't be explained? Looked up at the sky and felt like it was speaking directly to you? That's not superstition. That's soul memory. That's your original blueprint resurfacing. And now, it's coming back stronger, like a storm cloud rolling across the horizon. But this time, you're not afraid. You know what's coming isn't here to destroy you. It's here to clarify you, to return you to yourself. The child who saw the storm is still in you, still watching, still listening, still waiting for the moment when the rest of you remembers how to trust what has always been real. The prophecy of darkness feels familiar because your soul remembers the contrast, the void before creation, the hush before a sacred shift. As James Hillman once said, "We are born with character. It is not something we learn. It is a gift from the gods." You were born with this gift. It didn't come from trauma or teaching. It came through your essence. It's who you are. And now, in this strange time of spiritual upheaval, that essence is being activated, not for show, but for service, not for ego, but for purpose. And what you thought was a curse, your sensitivity, your knowing, your tears at things others laugh off, those are now your greatest tools. You were never weak, you were always awake. And now, the world is catching up to the child who already saw the storm coming. There's a quiet grief that comes with midlife, a question that echoes louder with each passing season. Did I miss it? You don't say it out loud, but you feel it, in your chest, in your dreams, in the way certain opportunities close like doors that never quite invited you in. You look back and wonder if the detours were divine or just delays. You look forward and wonder if it's too late to become who you were always meant to be. Chosen one, breathe. Let me tell you something the world never did. Divine timing doesn't operate on the same clock as this culture. Your life is not behind. You are not late. You are not forgotten. The very ache you feel to awaken, to rise, to live truthfully, that ache is the proof that your soul is on time. Midlife isn't the end of your story. It's the alignment of your story. When the masks fall, when the noise thins out, when the crowd disperses, and you're finally left alone with your real self, that's not failure. That's the sacred beginning. The clarity you're finding now wasn't available to you back then, because the path hadn't ripened yet. The 3 days of darkness isn't just a prophetic event. It's a mirror to how many of us feel. Like our light dimmed, like time passed us by, like our potential was buried in the rubble of survival. But let me say this clearly, the darkness did not bury your purpose. It protected it. Carl Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." You've been taught to look outside for timelines, for approval, for validation. But your awakening doesn't need the world's permission. It just needs your attention. The grief you feel isn't about age. It's about memory. Your soul remembers who you were before the world interrupted you. Before responsibilities, roles, heartbreaks, and routines pulled you into someone else's rhythm. That grief isn't failure. It's an invitation. It's the part of you that still believes you were made for more, whispering, "Come back." Let me remind you of something. A diamond doesn't know its value when it's buried, but that doesn't make it less valuable. The seasons you thought were wasted were really sacred delays. God wasn't punishing you. He was preparing you. You weren't missing the moment. The moment was still becoming you. The truth is, most of the world doesn't awaken until something breaks, until something dies, until something dark falls over the familiar, and suddenly, the soul becomes louder than the mind. You were made for this darkness, not because it's easy, but because you are one of the few who can walk through it and come out with light. So no, chosen one, you are not too late. The very fact that you're still breathing, still yearning, still watching this, means the calling hasn't expired. The door hasn't closed. It's just been waiting for you to knock on the inside. Time is not your enemy. Comparison is, regret is, shame is. But time is a circle. And what you thought you missed is already making its way back around. This time, you'll recognize it. This time, you'll be ready. You see, the divine doesn't measure your life by productivity or milestones. It measures by remembrance. And if you're remembering now who you are, what you carry, why you came, then you're right on schedule. Let yourself grieve. Let yourself forgive the wasted years, the missed turns, the silence. But don't let yourself believe that it's too late, because the ones who awaken at the edge of time are often the ones entrusted with the deepest truth. The ones who come alive in the second act are often the ones with the clearest light. Midlife is not a death sentence, it's a resurrection. And if you let it, the darkness you feared will become the doorway you bless. Because what's coming next isn't behind you. It's been waiting for your awakening. There are years in your life that no one talks about. The silent ones, the strange ones, the seasons where everything fell apart and nothing made sense. Where you pulled away from the noise, from people, from plans, and not because you wanted to, but because your soul gave you no other option. You tried to push forward, to force your old life to work, but nothing responded. The doors stopped opening. The friendships grew quiet. The opportunities disappeared. And it wasn't because you failed. It was because you were being hidden. Chosen one, the universe hides what it's healing. It silences what it's sanctifying. It slows down what it's strengthening. You didn't lose momentum. You were being placed in a divine pause. The hidden years are the holiest years, not because they feel good, but because they're where the real work happens, where your roots grow deep beneath the surface, where your identity is stripped of everything shallow and rebuilt in truth. The womb is silent. The cocoon is silent. The tomb is silent. But inside each, something miraculous is forming. In the womb, a child. In the cocoon, a butterfly. In the tomb, a resurrection. Silence is not absence, it's preparation. You weren't being ignored, you were being reshaped. It was in those lonely nights, in the stillness of delay, that your soul finally got your attention. You heard things you couldn't hear in the noise. You faced things you used to outrun. You remembered things you had buried long ago. And even though it broke you, it also baptized you, in tears, in questions, in surrender. The 3 days of darkness is not just an event to fear, it's a metaphor you've already lived. The seasons where you felt swallowed by mystery, where God went quiet, where your prayers echoed back with no reply. But what you didn't know is that heaven was closer than ever in that silence. The light was being relit inside of you, not externally, but internally. You were learning to burn without applause, to glow without permission. And the world doesn't honor these seasons. It praises productivity, noise, visibility. But the sacred doesn't. The sacred honors the hidden. The sacred builds in silence. The sacred whispers, wait. And those who have the courage to wait, those are the ones the light trusts. You see, you were being removed from what couldn't carry your calling, from people who loved your wounds but not your healing, from roles that felt familiar but kept you small. The universe isn't cruel, it's precise, and it saw what you couldn't. It saw who wouldn't go with you. It saw where you were still compromising. It saw where you needed space to bloom. Viktor Frankl once wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." That's exactly what happened in those silent years. The situation wouldn't change. The answers didn't come. So you changed. Quietly, slowly, radically. And now? Now the silence has done its work. You've emerged different. You don't chase the same things. You don't ignore the same signs. You don't abandon yourself to keep others comfortable. You've been marked by the hidden years, and no one can take that from you. So if you're still in them, if life feels quiet and strange and lonely, know this: you are in sacred territory. Do not rush it. Do not resent it. Do not try to force an exit, because what's being formed in the dark will one day be revealed in light, and when it is, it will be undeniable. You've been wrapped in mystery, not because you're forgotten, but because you're favored. And when the time comes for you to emerge, you won't be who you were. You'll be who you were always meant to be: whole, rooted, ready, radiant. The hidden years were never a waste. They were holy. They were the place where your true self was born. You've felt it your whole life, haven't you? That strange resistance when you enter a room, that subtle shift in people's energy, that discomfort in their eyes when you speak from your soul instead of your surface. And maybe you've spent years wondering, what did I do wrong? But let me tell you the truth you were never told. Chosen one, you trigger people not because you are wrong, but because you are real. Your light irritates what is unhealed in others. Your presence reveals what they are still hiding. It's not that you try to confront them. It's that you cannot help but shine, and your shine unsettles the shadows they haven't faced. You walk into spaces and bring a mirror, and most people aren't ready to look, so they retreat, they reject, they misunderstand. They push you away with silence or with judgment, and you carry that rejection like it was your fault. But it never was. The world is allergic to truth when it's not ready, and you, by design, carry a frequency that calls people out of illusion. You carry light that cracks open the armor. You carry a spirit that can't be manipulated, tamed, or performed. You don't wear masks well. You don't play roles for long. You don't pretend when your soul is grieving. And that kind of honesty is threatening in a culture built on pretending. There is an invisible cost to being chosen. Not everyone will celebrate you. Not everyone will stay. Many will misunderstand your motives, question your timing, distort your intentions. They'll call you intense, dramatic, too deep, too sensitive. But what they're really saying is, you make me see things I've spent my whole life avoiding. So what do? You isolate. You pull back. You shrink, hoping that if you become smaller, you'll be accepted. But the pain doesn't leave. It just settles deeper, because your soul didn't come here to fit. It came here to awaken. And awakening is messy. It breaks things open. It rearranges the atmosphere. It challenges comfort zones. The 3 days of darkness prophecy feels heavy to many, but not to you, because you've already lived years of darkness. Emotional eclipses, soul rejections, moments where you were stripped of everything familiar so your spirit could breathe. You've faced the inner apocalypse already, and you didn't just survive, you became someone unshakable. And maybe you've asked, why do I keep losing people? Why does every chapter seem to end before it begins? But hear me now. What leaves your life when your light rises is not loss, it's alignment. You cannot carry everyone into your next season. Not everyone is willing to see what you see, feel what you feel, or grow as deeply as you've grown. Clarissa Pinkola Estes reminds us, if you have ever been called strange, difficult, eccentric, or rebellious, you are on the right track. Because the chosen ones aren't here to conform. They're here to transform, to stir what is stagnant, to break what is brittle, to call the world back to its soul. And that calling comes with a cost. But you're not alone in this. There's a whole tribe of us who were rejected for being too raw, too awake, too unwilling to play along. And we're finding each other, slowly, quietly, powerfully. So next time you feel the sting of rejection, take a breath. And remember, it's not your truth that's the problem. It's their resistance to it. You are not a mistake. You are a mirror. You are not too much. You are medicine. You are not the destroyer of peace. You are the disturber of illusions. And illusions must fall before healing can begin. You trigger the world because you carry something the world forgot. Truth that burns, love that exposes, light that cannot be dimmed. And that is not something to apologize for. It is something to protect, to honor, to stand tall within. Even when it's lonely, even when it hurts, even when it means walking alone. Because in the end, you won't walk alone forever. The ones who are ready to awaken will find you. They'll recognize you, and they'll say, "Thank God you didn't dim." There comes a point in your journey when the voices outside of you grow so loud, you can't hear the soft truth rising from within. You doubt yourself. You second-guess what you once knew clearly. You look to others for confirmation, direction, signs, hoping someone out there holds the map to what your soul keeps whispering. But chosen one, you were never meant to live guided by outer noise. You were born with a compass inside your chest. You've just forgotten how to feel it. You see, the world taught you to override your knowing, to analyze instead of intuit, to choose logic over light. And so, the dreams you had, dismissed, the chills that came when something felt off, ignored, the energy you felt when you walked into certain spaces, silenced. Slowly, you stopped listening. Not because you didn't trust yourself, but because too many others didn't. But now something is calling you back to the thread you left behind in the dark, back to the sacred instructions that have always been coded in your bones, because the signs are everywhere again. The synchronicities, the repeated numbers, the visions in your sleep that won't let go, the sudden urge to disconnect from the world and go inward. Chosen one, this is not imagination. This is invitation. The divine is trying to reintroduce you to the language of your soul. Your intuition is not a backup plan, it's the original design. It is how the eternal speaks to you in a world full of distraction, and it does not shout. It nudges, it stirs, it guides with warmth, not pressure. So take a breath, close your eyes, feel what pulls you and what drains you. That's your compass. Pay attention to what gives you life and what makes your spirit shrink. That's your sacred data. Listen to the chills on your skin, the sudden emotion in your chest, the moment of knowing that shows up before your mind even has words for it. That's the thread in the dark. That's the voice you lost. returning. When you stop trying to explain yourself and start trusting what you feel, you reconnect with your original alignment. You become your own sanctuary. You don't need the crowd to agree. You just need to remember how it feels when your soul says yes. This inner knowing, it doesn't always make sense to others. It might tell you to leave a job everyone envies, to move away from a place you've always called home, to walk away from a relationship that still looks fine on the surface. But your soul doesn't care about appearances. It only cares about resonance. Rainer Maria Rilke wrote, "The only journey is the one within." That journey begins when you stop outsourcing your wisdom, when you stop waiting for someone else to approve your intuition, when you stop asking for permission to know what you already know. The world is shifting, the energy is speeding up, and only those who are rooted in their inner truth will walk through this next season with peace. Those who ignore their intuition will feel disoriented, but those who follow it, they'll be in alignment no matter what unfolds. So if your dreams have been vivid again, if your body has been more sensitive than usual, if your emotions are swinging and your mind feels tired but your soul feels alive, you're not alone. You're not broken. You're awakening. This is the return to your own sacred compass, the remembering of how to walk through darkness guided by inner light, the resurrection of the voice that was never gone, only quiet. Trust it again. Let it lead you. Let it protect you. Let it show you the way home. Because no prophecy, no message, no sign will ever be more accurate than the one placed inside of you. That voice is ancient. That voice is divine. That voice is yours. There's a feeling in the air that no one can quite name. A restlessness, a quiet detachment, a strange peace mixed with a deeper knowing. And some of you, chosen ones, have been feeling it more intensely, like something is completing itself, like the assignment you never quite had words for is coming to a close. And though it's hard to explain, your soul knows. You feel the ending of a chapter you didn't even realize you were writing. You feel a kind of recall, not from the world, but from the realm beyond it. This isn't depression. It's divine release. This isn't withdrawal. It's spiritual retrieval. The first ones, the ones who were sent early, who held the line when no one else would, who carried light through the darkest generational tunnels, are being recalled. Not in body necessarily, but in purpose, in position, in place. The mission you once carried may be changing. The role you once played may be ending, and that feeling of no longer belonging, it's not failure, it's fulfillment. You see, soul contracts have expiration dates. Some of you were sent into families, into places, into spiritual deserts, not to stay, but to shift the frequency just enough to awaken the next wave. And now that wave has begun to rise, and you feel it. You feel the pull to step back, to simplify, to say less, to prepare. It's not burnout, it's transition. And it's okay to grieve that. It's okay to feel both honored and heartbroken, because your spirit remembers the weight of this calling. It remembers the times you stood alone, the battles no one saw, the prayers no one heard, the sacrifices that went unspoken. And now, you're being told gently, it's time to let go of what's been completed. Not everyone will understand this. They'll call it detachment, isolation, giving up. But chosen one, the eagle doesn't explain itself to the nest once it feels the sky calling. You're not abandoning anything. You're ascending. And maybe, for the first time, you don't feel the need to fix everything, to explain yourself, to hold the space you once carried like a burden. Maybe now you feel an odd sense of closure and freedom. That's not selfish. That's the soul's way of saying, it is done. This is what it feels like when the gate opens, not with a roar, but with a breath. Not with a crash, but with clarity. You'll feel lighter. less attached to the chaos, more drawn to silence, more interested in eternity than urgency. The things that once demanded your energy will begin to dissolve, and what remains will be only what's true. It's not that the world doesn't matter to you anymore. It's that your role within it is changing. You're not here to convince or correct. You're here to embody, to carry peace in a way that others can feel, to walk lightly, not because you're detached, but because you're aligned. Let yourself exit the roles that no longer fit. Let yourself say goodbye to versions of you that served their purpose. Let yourself release the battles that no longer require your presence. You are not needed everywhere. You are needed where you truly belong. The recall isn't punishment, it's placement. It's preparation for the next dimension of your journey. And whether that means leaving this world or simply leaving a phase of your mission behind, trust it. Trust the soft ending. Trust the sacred withdrawal. Trust that when the soul says enough, it's not defeat. It's divine timing. You are not disappearing. You are ascending frequency. And those who are meant to walk with you in this next chapter will feel the shift. The rest will not understand. And that's okay, because this part of the path was never meant to be explained. It was meant to be answered. So if you've felt that pull lately, to step back, to prepare, to surrender what no longer resonates, don't resist it. You are being recalled for a reason. And what's waiting beyond the gate is not an ending. It's a return. They didn't see it when you stayed, when you gave your heart quietly, when you stood in the shadows holding everything together without recognition. They didn't feel the depth of your presence until it was no longer in the room. And now, as the world trembles and shifts and searches for light, they're looking around for the ones they once ignored. But chosen one, you won't be where they left you, because by the time they truly look for you, you'll be gone. Gone, not in body, but in vibration, in frequency, in form. You've been transformed. The process was quiet, sacred, hidden behind ordinary days and silent griefs. But the work was happening. The dying off of the false self, the rising of the real one. You've become the very light they used to mock, the peace they never understood. The voice they dismissed now echoes in their own silence. You see, the 3 days of darkness isn't just about a cosmic event. It's symbolic of what you've already lived through. You've already been through the blackout, the season where no one saw you, heard you, or valued what you carried. You walked through spiritual night while still showing up, still loving, still praying. And now, you've emerged with light in your bones. There's a metamorphosis no one noticed. Like the butterfly they can't catch, you've flown beyond their grasp. Not in arrogance, but in ascension. You're no longer a fit for their frequency. And when they try to return, to reconnect with the version of you that waited, they will find silence. And in that silence, they will hear the truth. You didn't leave out of bitterness. You didn't vanish in pride. You were called higher, and what once resonated now repels. What once connected now dissolves. It's not personal, it's spiritual. They will remember your words, your presence, your patience. They will remember how you stayed when they pushed you away, how you offered grace when they gave judgment. And it will hit them, not as regret, but as revelation, that they encountered a chosen one and missed it. But by then, you will be walking in a different realm, one where your energy is honored, where your peace is protected, where your purpose is no longer questioned. You will no longer explain your intuition, justify your depth, or tone down your light. You'll be in places where your soul breathes freely. This is the era of unreachability, not because you're hiding, but because you've healed. Not because you're avoiding, but because you're aligned. You are no longer in orbit around those who drain your light. You've become the sun, still shining, still loving, but no longer circling anyone's shadows. And so, when they look for you, they'll find an empty space where your energy once stood. a space now filled with the echo of everything you once gave freely. And that emptiness, it will teach them more than your presence ever could. Let them look, let them wonder, let them finally ask the questions they never cared to before. Because by the time they do, you'll be somewhere else, radiant, rested, and ready for the new. Don't return to what you've outgrown just to make others comfortable. Don't descend just because they finally noticed your light. You didn't rise to be seen. You rose because your soul was called higher. And now you walk in light. You carry a frequency that can't be faked. You carry a love that cannot be misused again. You carry a truth that doesn't beg to be understood. They will look for you, and you'll be gone. And that, chosen one, is how the divine protects what is sacred. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the line between who you were and who you've become cannot be crossed again. A moment so quietly final, so inwardly irreversible, that even if you tried to go back, you wouldn't fit. That moment doesn't always look dramatic. It often comes with no fanfare, no audience, no visible sign. But inside, something eternal clicks into place. You feel it like a door that locks behind you. The shift has happened, and you are no longer who you used to be. Chosen one, many of you have crossed that line recently, maybe without even realizing it, maybe without being able to name it. But you feel the weight of something different. The energy of the old no longer calls to you. The roles you played feel heavy. The places you once forced yourself to fit now feel like foreign lands. Conversations you once tolerated now sound like noise. It's not because you're bitter. It's because your soul is ascending. You have passed through a gate that has no hinge in the other direction. What once comforted you now confines you. What once inspired you now distracts you. You are no longer interested in pretending, no longer willing to carry what doesn't resonate. You are not avoiding the world. You are remembering the world your soul came from. And that remembrance has become your anchor. The shift that has taken place in you didn't come from a book or a teacher or a single revelation. It came from enduring, from sitting in the fire without flinching, from letting go of what you loved because it no longer aligned, from crying in silence and waking up anyway, from saying yes to the unknown when everything in you craved safety. This transformation, this holy change, is the result of sacred obedience. You followed the whisper when it made no sense. You stayed when others fled. You spoke when your voice shook. And slowly, the divine built something inside you that cannot be shaken. You may still feel fragile at times. You may still question your strength. But let me say this. Anyone who has passed through that inner threshold can never return to a smaller life. You have tasted alignment. And once you taste it, misalignment becomes unbearable. Not because you're better than anyone, but because you've remembered too much truth to pretend. This is why the world feels louder lately, why the news weighs heavier, why even the small things feel sharp and misaligned. It's not that everything is worse, it's that you are clearer. Your nervous system no longer tolerates distortion. Your spirit no longer consents to spiritual noise. You've become a tuning fork for truth. And yes, it's lonely sometimes, because not everyone is shifting with you. Many are still clinging to the comfort of the familiar, still seeking certainty in external things. But you've begun to trust the invisible. You've started to live from the inside out. You've stopped trying to convince and started to simply carry. This is what the 3 days of darkness points to, not just a blackout in the sky, but a blackout of everything false. A global moment where what is real stands tall and what is hollow falls away. And you, chosen one, have already begun this shedding. That's why people don't understand you anymore. That's why some have drifted. That's why you feel like you're in between two worlds, because you are. You're no longer in survival. You're no longer chasing identity. You are walking as the soul you've always been beneath the pain, the roles, the expectations. You've stopped waiting for others to validate your knowing. You've stopped explaining your gifts to people who only want entertainment. You've stopped performing. You've chosen stillness over spectacle, alignment over applause, truth over tradition. And that choice has cost you, but it's also crowned you with clarity, with peace, with power. So when people ask you what's changed, you may not be able to give them a straight answer. Because this kind of shift isn't loud. It doesn't need a stage. It doesn't crave attention. It just is. A knowing that lives in your bones, a silence that feels full instead of empty, a presence that doesn't waver. And now the final stretch of this transformation is here. The world will soon reflect what your soul already knows. The chaos on the outside is mirroring the awakening on the inside, and the ones who have done the deep work, who stayed hidden while everyone chased the spotlight, will become the torches in the dark. You are that torch, not because you asked for it, but because you were built for it. Every tear was training. Every delay was discipline. Every goodbye was guidance. The shift you've gone through cannot be undone. You don't need to rush. You don't need to explain. You don't need to fear being left behind. You are exactly where you were meant to be, on the edge of everything sacred, about to step into everything real. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Feel it. You've crossed the threshold. And the next part of your journey will not require striving. It will require surrender. You are not the same, and you never will be again. Because now, you walk in light. Chosen one, everything you've felt, everything you've seen in the silence, it was real. The heaviness, the dreams, the strange stillness that crept into your days and nights. None of it was imagination. It was preparation. What the world calls coincidence, your soul knows as confirmation. And now the shift is no longer coming. It has begun. The signs are not warnings. They are awakenings. And those who are listening with their spirit, not just their ears, know exactly what this moment is. You didn't endure the isolation, the silence, the heartbreak for nothing. You were being shaped in the shadows, refined by what felt like delay, trained in the desert, sanctified in obscurity, so that when this prophetic hour arrived, you would not just recognize it, you would be ready for it. You were never waiting, you were becoming. And now that becoming is complete, this is why you had to walk away. This is why you felt pulled back. This is why the old paths closed without explanation. You were never being punished. You were being positioned. Every exit was a divine detour toward alignment. Every silence was sacred strategy. And now, you will see why it had to be this way. The darkness isn't here to destroy you. It's here to reveal you. While others panic, you will remain planted. While others fear the unknown, you will feel strangely familiar with what's unfolding. Because you've already faced your internal night. And that has made you unshakable. You carry a light not made of electricity or fire, but of truth. And that kind of light doesn't flicker when the world goes dark. Comment 1111 or 333 below if you feel this in your bones. Let this be your declaration, that you remember who you are, that you choose to walk forward in soul authority, that you carry the light for others still asleep. Because chosen one, this is your moment, not to perform, but to embody, to radiate peace when others are caught in chaos, to stand when others fall to fear. You are not here to be liked, you are here to be lit from within, and no eclipse, spiritual or cosmic, can extinguish what God has kindled in you. If this space has felt like a sanctuary, come back whenever the world gets too heavy. This isn't just a video, it's a place to rest your soul. A sacred corner of the digital world where your truth is safe, your pain is understood, and your journey is honored. Subscribe not just to this channel, but to your deeper calling. You're not who you were, and you'll never walk as that version again. because the silence taught you something no sermon ever could. And now you know. Without needing proof, without needing praise, you know that you were chosen, not because you were perfect, but because you were prepared. So walk forward now, Radiant One. The darkness may come, but you will glow.